There has been a lot of talk about how Occupy Wall Street doesn't have any concrete demands. And so we don't know what they're talking about because no one's written anything down or brought anything specific to the table. But I think that's ridiculous. I think it's quite clear what we're dealing with and what the demands are. The demands are exactly the same demands as the founders of this country. And that is to rethink from where valid power comes. That's what the founders did, and that's what we're trying to do here with Occupy Wall Street. So, at the creation of the United States government, we had this deep fear of tyranny from government. And that's because that's what our founders knew. That's what they were familiar with, is we had come from this system which had concentrated power in the government. And so, in reaction to that, the creation of our state has been one deeply riddled with this fear that power will concentrate in the government and cause tyranny. And so we've been afraid of tyranny, so we've limited the government. However, people have found new avenues of power. What the founders failed to see is, with their fear of tyranny, is that tyranny is not only the result of concentrated power in the government. Tyranny is the result of concentrated power anywhere. And money is power. Money is the new source of tyranny in the society. It's no longer corruption within the government that has brought us to where we are. It's corruption within the corporation and within the financial system. That's why the current state of our economy is the antithesis of democracy. I would now say that it's a lot closer to an oligarchy, with the amount of power that we have controlled in one area. Just as the founders reacted to the royal elite, what Occupy Wall Street is doing is reacting to the financial elite. And so, where do we start? I'm not here either to present concrete demands. I think a good place to start would be to restructure the corporation. A lot of times the reasons that corporations behave the way that they do is not because, the CEO is the devil or inherently evil, or because the board is trying to screw people over. A lot of times it's because of how companies are incentivized. They're incentivized to make money. That's their legal obligation. And when that comes in conflict with, the good of the American population or with the environment, then the incentives dictate what kind of choice they make. So I think one place to start is to restructure the legal obligations of the corporation. Another thing that we need to do is limit corporate personhood. Come on, I'm sorry, but a corporation is not a person. It's never going to vote. It's never going to get married. Are we going to consider any of these things for a corporation? No. And that serves as a test for whether or not we actually think that a corporation is a person, which we don't. We realize it's not, and yet, for convenience sake, we treat it as a person and then decide that it needs free speech, and therefore it needs to be able to contribute to campaigns, and all of these ridiculous things that just, in the end, infringe on democracy. What's a lot more important than concrete demands is to have a conversation, a real one. Occupy Wall Street doesn't have concrete demands because this isn't about checking off a box. This is about rethinking the direction of our country and the direction of our society. So I'm not saying that we should do away with the Constitution. All we're doing is reacting to history. The founders had a certain kind of history to which they were reacting, and now we have the benefit, more or less, of more history. And with that history, we can see the new avenues of corruption and of tyranny. So, government tyranny, we've already attempted to eliminate that. But now tyranny has risen up in the market, and we need to rethink that. Perhaps down the road, tyranny will come up in another place. But if we act correctly now, it will set the precedent that we need to deal with tyranny in the places from which it comes in the future. There's a lot of talk about, fear of tyranny of the majority in a democracy. And I think that sounds kind of nice. What I'm a lot more concerned about is tyranny of the 1%. And so, a free society is one in which neither the government nor the market can be used as tools for the disempowerment of the common person. It is time to take what the framers did and do it to the market. Occupy Wall Street.